Write with a hot code of conduct. Be welcoming, respectful, be careful in your word, phrasing, and tone. To understand. Okay. So in terms of program structure, we'll have 1 hour panel discussions. So we have today two speakers. We'll have 1 hour panel discussion. So participants may ask questions via chat. We will have also 30 minutes for the breakout room sessions. Everyone can talk via voice. In the social media, please feel free to share using hashtag Open Data Environment SDGs. So talking about our first panelist, he comes from Italy. He is a GIS consultant at United Nations Global Service. He's also the coordinator of the crowdsourcing activity for UN Matters, a community providing OpenStreetMap data in support of UN peacekeeping missions and UN agencies. He previously was co-founder of the first European chapter of Youth Matters and Youth Matters Research Below. He trained several local and academic communities in Africa and Europe and UN staff across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Montani, our first guest. Montani, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Yves. Let me share my screen. Hope you can see it.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So nice to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be here in this community working group meeting. I will use for this presentation one slide that I'm bringing, let's say, from a previous presentation made by my section chief at the second UN World Geospatial Information Congress that was actually 2 days ago. I mean, it is this week in Hyderabad in India. And I will present, I mean, how open data is used for, I mean, to solve sustainable development, let's say, challenges through, let's say, our project that we are hosting here at the United Nations Global Service Center. That is the logistic base of the UN, and this is, I mean, the place also where I'm calling from. But also how we are using OSM data to solve other, let's say, other sustainable development challenges, let's say. So let me start before with an introduction of who we are. So as I told you, I'm based in Brindisi in Italy, is in South, let's say South Italy. And the UNGSC has 2 logistic bases, one in South Italy and the other one in Valencia in Spain, that is more related to telecommunications. And basically we provide different logistic services to the peacekeeping missions all over the world. So basically we do supply chain service. So we let's say we host all the transports, all the means of transports, the containers, all the let's say logistics material that are used in the missions in order to set up, let's say, UN camps in unsecure areas, in war areas, to have, let's say, the UN operating in such countries. We have the SGIT, that is the Service of Geospatial Information and Telecommunication Technologies. That is, I mean, where I mean, is the service in which I'm working as well, and is providing geospatial and information technology services to the peacekeepers. And then we have the central service that is more the management, let's say, of the logistic base. So our clients, as you see, are mainly from all over the world. They are the peacekeeping missions, but we have also other departments of the UN. They are mainly based in Africa, but we have some missions also in Europe and also in South America, a few, and some in Asia as well. So my, let's say, the section in which I work is providing all the geospatial products to the peacekeepers. And it was established mainly to be like as a, let's say, focal point, centralization, let's say, centralizing activity for the information technology for the peacekeepers, because as you can imagine, like running IT services from the peacekeeping missions is, let's say, quite demanding, especially if we are dealing with big data and other specialized activities. So let's say the goal of the logistic base is to try to centralize all these activities in one point, to host all the data centers, and then to provide the services directly to them. Even though we have many IT and GIS people directly in the field missions to support the local population and the UN operations. So here I will try to explain why we needed to set up this project of the UN Maps. So UN Maps is, I mean, you can easily imagine it like a map service that is designed for the, I mean, from the UN for the UN, because we are hosting in this service, let's say, authoritative information that is sometimes even operational information that we cannot disclose publicly. But at the same time, we are ingesting OpenStreetMap data, especially for the topographic data and the base map information, basically. So we take from OSM all the topographic features from land cover, land use, highways, waterways, and so on. And at the same time, we also contribute to OSM, as I will explain later on. But the point here is that this project is like a big change of mindset in the UN, because in the past we were using mainly private geospatial information. We were updating databases that I mean, they were getting old quite soon, and so it was also a huge expense of money for the UN to update a lot of data that wasn't used anyway. And so that's why the UN is shifting to open data gradually, and we are now adopting OpenStreetMap data for the topographic products and the geospatial services for the peacekeepers. So the first challenge is the lack of base data. So this one was a screenshot from Google Maps in an area in Somalia, and as you can see, there is no data at all. We have lack of operational data from other providers. For example, we cannot access all the operational information, like the supply routes that are taken by the peacekeepers, that are, let's say, taken as like the secure ways that they can pass through. For example, like there are some routes that they cannot follow because they are unsecure. They can be attacked. But we also have other operational information, like the position of the troops or the position of police stations, prisons, and so on. This data, as you can imagine, is not disclosable. And so, but there are not even like maps providers that can help us in showing this data. So basically what we have to do is to create our own map service. Then we have non-authoritative boundaries. So if we want to produce, let's say, UN like authoritative maps, we always have to ensure that we are using the correct borders, especially because they are like a sensible topic, especially at the political level. And so we cannot rely on open data for this kind of information. We have to take the data that is released by the member states and that is agreed by the Security Council. So, for example, in this image, you can see how in OpenStreetMap, for example, we don't have the disputed area of Western Sahara, which is roughly at the west of this screenshot that I took from OpenStreetMap. And this is obviously something that, I mean, we cannot rely on open data for this kind of very specific application. And also, we may have non-authoritative city names. So, for example, the spelling of some cities may be wrong in other providers. And as a matter of fact, we have to take let's say, the ones that have been agreed by the member states. This happens also in Africa sometimes, when, especially in disputed areas, when we have like different different spellings of villages. Sometimes this can be also, let's say, topic of discussion, and it can the spelling of one place can also give hints of the local militias or local tribes that are present in such an area. So the solution was to create this UN Maps service, in which we have okay, people, technology, data, and services. I will be a bit quick on this explanation, because it was for more for high level, let's say, managers. So I can skip like these details. But let's say that the way we work is to take data from three sources, basically. We have the in-house capacity, so let's say the mission that are funding this project, and they are providing also the operational information. So the UNGSC is let's say, centralizing this information and then releasing as a service for all the missions. We have the crowdsourcing with the UN Mappers community that you may know. That is like a community of volunteers that we set up, let's say, 2 years ago, in which basically many volunteers are producing geospatial data to support the UN operations. So mainly on the peacekeeping, but we are also trying to expand towards the humanitarian activities. And then also the UN geodata and the open data. So basically what we do is to take from OpenStreetMap, but also other open data sources, let's say auxiliary information. From OpenStreetMap, we rely a lot from it. So basically we are taking all the topographic information. But the nice thing of open data is that basically like many companies and other humanitarian organizations are using it for many purposes. And so we are all benefiting all together from one unique database that is OpenStreetMap. And it is like, let's say, a win-win collaboration, because we are, ingesting data in the same database. We are all benefiting from the activities of each other. So that's really the main point. So I will be fast here. We have like we are operating in 5 missions in Somalia, Congo, Central African Republic, Mali, and the disputed region of Abyei between Sudan and South Sudan. And we are also now expanding to South Sudan, supporting UNMISS, and UNMHA, supporting Yemen. And you can see with the blue pinpoint all the operational information that we are taking from other peacekeeping missions. So from Cyprus, from Kosovo, from the Kashmir region in between India and Pakistan, Colombia, and so on. Here I have a small video of UN Mappers that is basically a community of contributors that are, let's say, supporting us with geospatial data on OpenStreetMap. So what we do is basically to coordinate with many OpenStreetMap volunteers, and to do also partnership with mapping agencies to produce data. So what we do is to open on the hot tasking manager mapping projects related to the topographic features. We have rivers, roads, residential areas, and sometimes also buildings. And then we use this data to produce the geospatial services, as I will show now. And we do this by training the students. I will stop the video here, maybe. We have the, we train the volunteers. We recently released in the State of the Map the Learning Hub, which is, let's say, a learning platform in which you can find all the educational material related to OSM. Basically, we cover how to map topographic features, but also, how to create a OpenStreetMap account, how to use ID and JOSM. And we release this material in many languages. So our goal will be to cover all the UN official languages, but up to now you can find it in English, French, Spanish, and some other languages that we are able to support now. And then we have the training. We train the people with remote and in local trainings. We do activities with the national cartographic agencies, as we did in Bamako in Mali this year. And also we open a roster of internships to which people can apply. Then we do mapathons, of course, and we also have social media that you can, that you can connect to and follow our activities. So let me stop the video here, and I will continue from this slide. I see some yellow lines here. It's okay. So just to recap, this is the, let's say, the added value of UN maps. So we add all the topographic information, so everybody can access to it, and is based on the latest Maxar imagery available. And we respect, let's say, to have all the data of open data from OpenStreetMap. We also have this service showing authoritative data like the position of the troops or the battalion boundaries and things that we cannot disclose, like, for example, the location of bunkers and these things. Between the features of UN maps, we have the production of the, let's say, authoritative street map. So we have the authoritative boundaries. So as you can see here with the Western Sahara in different base map flavors. We also collect satellite imagery. We buy satellite imagery and we host it for the peacekeepers. Then we have the terrain map by showing the isolines and the heights of the territories. We also are working on the vector tile visualization, so to visualize the OpenStreetMap data directly through vector tiles that are like, let's say, the most efficient way to visualize, especially three-dimensional data. So this picture is on Tripoli. We made like a mapping activity of buildings here. And then there are also other features that the peacekeepers can be interested into, like the geocoding, so they can search the features by using both the OpenStreetMap data and also the authoritative data of the UN. And the direction features, so they can, this one is interesting because we are taking the data from OpenStreetMap for the roads that are basically, like, many times there are other companies that are even checking the topology, even in Africa and in other countries. So it's useful to use OpenStreetMap data, and at the same time, what we are doing is to harmonize our internal operational data to OpenStreetMap. So we are basically taking the geometries from OpenStreetMap and updating our operational data based on OSM. So if, for example, we know that there is one route that is like a supply route that is patrolled and secure, the routing algorithm is taking the OpenStreetMap routes from these, let's say, selected ones, and using other OSM routes for the final navigation. And then we have, yes, as I was saying, the visualization of the operational activities. So, like, for example, the flights from one base, from one UN base to the other, or let's say the hazard areas, the supply routes, and so on, the location of the point of interest. So this is basically our main product, the production of cartographic maps, the cartographic products. We have the topographic map that is the most used in the missions. So militaries are using these maps to plan their operations. So As you can see, all this data is coming from OSM, so we are editing it, and then we are taking it and overlaying the UN information. Then we have the urban maps. This is, for example, taken from OSM data in Bangui, in Central African Republic. And we have also all the POIs, and the final user can choose the POI that they want to put in the map. We have Goma in Democratic Republic of the Congo, with these site maps that are showing the imagery and the overlaying OpenStreetMap data. So all these maps are used for the peacekeeping operations and planning. And this like an example on how like open data can be helpful in let's say in peace operations and peacekeeping. So many very important missions of the UN are using let's say OpenStreetMap data for their operation nowadays. This one is not interesting for you, but is just to know that these UN maps is currently used by also other UN services in general. So we have the Unite Aware to show the operational activities, the environmental, let's say, action planning and performance to let's say reduce the environmental impact of the UN missions in the field. We have the FREEM, so the project on Internet of Things, showing, let's say, all the sensors that the UN missions have in the camps. We have, I show this sometimes in other presentations, the virtual reality project, and we are using OpenStreetMap data also here to produce the 3D models. And also we are, let's say, currently enabling many UN websites like the peacekeeping and the Power BI dashboards. So the benefits, like these benefits, I mean, they align open data in general, OpenStreetMap data, they align a lot with the Secretary General data strategy, because basically we need to move towards open data, because they help us in building the people capacity. So not only of GIS or IT professionals, but also for the local populations and local communities. And also they allow us to connect sustainably to other ecosystems outside the UN. So it's an opportunity for us to collaborate with also other organizations. And with the Sustainable Development Goals, I mean, I guess you know, is the main topic of today. They are 17 from the Agenda 2030 of the Sustainable Development. And with these activities that we do from UNGSC, we basically provide quality education, gender equality, and reduced inequalities, especially when we consider like trainings to women, to empower women and their geospatial skills, but also all the data that we ingest on OpenStreetMap is in a way reducing inequalities between the north and the south of the world. So as I was showing, like let's say OpenStreetMap is nowadays used for navigation in Africa and Asia for sure. And is even better than Google Maps, even in the northern, let's say, part of the world. And then we have, of course, the 16th and the 17th, that are the SDGs related to peace and justice. That is our main focus for now, and also the partnership for goals. So let's say the training to OpenStreetMap and the OpenStreetMap editing activities are in a way allowing us to have, let's say, a common database to do partnerships around sustainable development. Okay, I will try to be more quick now, and maybe I can switch to the to my browser. I guess you see it. One thing that I was thinking is that the UN actually is opening the SDG data. So if you want to access all the data related to the SDGs, you can easily go to these websites, unstats.un.org/SDGs/data portal and database. Here you can select all the data that is provided by the member states to the UN for the, let's say, the different indicators and targets of the sustainable development that you can download for your cartographic applications. So it's open to everybody. And let me see. Yeah, maybe I can just fly over the areas that we edit. So by providing this data either in a collaborative way, but also with an internal mapping facility, we are providing data to the to everybody, so everybody can use this topographic and road data for their routing application, for example. But moreover, and I will finish, I know that I'm almost late. This, I mean, open data can also be used for many other different applications. So in this case, I'm presenting an activity that we did in collaboration with UNESCO in supporting educational planning. So we collaborate, UNESCO was collaborating with the Ministry of Education of Madagascar to generate open data related to roads to increase, let's say, the amount of data in the region related to the connection, no, between villages and schools in Vakinankaratra. So it's a central region in Madagascar, because they want to show how the geospatial data can be useful for planning education, so to best localize the schools, as well as to allocate teachers and educational resources in a optimal way. So there was like a collaboration between us and UNESCO, and we made several mapping activities to generate OpenStreetMap data in this region. And UNESCO actually used open software, so QGIS, they developed a plugin to create isochrones and catchment areas. So to basically to visualize, let's say, the walking time of students from villages to schools based on OpenStreetMap data. So they produced this let's say, visualization. So we have the before and after the let's say, mapping activities were conducted. So when this is, let's say, the effect that open data is having on these sustainable development activities, because I mean, we have been able to share data in a easy way without like very few. I mean, it was very quick. Like, we basically edited the data and they were able in the same time to use it for their applications. And they have been able to carry on this analysis in the region. So this was an example, for example, on how OpenStreetMap data is supporting, let's say, would be used to support the SDG number 4 about education. Okay, I think I said many things. I don't know if I have more time I can fill. Otherwise, I can give the floor back to Yves. Let me know.
Yeah, Mikael, thanks. I think it's over to you. Thank you. But we can still have time to take 2 more questions for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mikael. Yeah, thank you, Mikael, for your presentations regarding the activities you're actually doing in WebMap and the services you are providing, and also the project that you implement in Madagascar to increase the connection between roads and education for the planification of education. So we have some questions on the chat. The first one comes from Hal. You show OpenStreetMap overlaid with a geographic grid. How is the positional accuracy of OpenStreetMap comparing with actual geographic position?
Okay. Okay, so there is one baby crying. Okay, so let's say this project is started from the topographic editing activity in the UN. So the UNGC was, or I mean, one of the mandates of the UNGC was to produce the topographic maps for the peacekeeping applications. And the accuracy that of those maps was 1 to 50K. So we produce maps 1 to 50K. So that was more or less the topographic, let's say, maps were of that, more or less that range. That you can imagine like a map of 27 by 27 kilometer roughly. I mean, it depends on where you are in the world, but in Africa it's more or less 27 kilometers range. And the accuracy, let's say, for those applications was around, let's say, 200 meters. I mean, I think we don't map anything below that range because it will be like before it was like it wasn't useful to edit. The switch to OpenStreetMap was quite smooth because basically on OpenStreetMap everybody can edit their own data and you can be as accurate as possible. So what we do is for the topographic applications, we download the OpenStreetMap data. Actually, we have a replica of the whole planet within UNGC data centers, and we reduce the accuracy by, let's say, filtering some objects that are too small to be shown, or simplifying the geometry, so reducing the number of nodes of some highways. So basically, OpenStreetMap is doing great for this kind of application, for the topographic maps. I hope this answered the question.
Yes,
Yes, thank you. That's absolutely perfect. I understand completely now with the scaling factor. Of course, you eliminate some of the minor inaccuracies that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Okay,
like
yeah.
everybody can edit whatever they want on OSM, and that's great actually, because it means that OSM is flexible for whatever application, no? But then when you design your own mapping application, you have to define like a level of accuracy and to generalize the data. That is the only thing.
Yeah, thanks, Michael, for your answer. So we will take the next question on the breakout rooms. So, but please also feel free to answer them directly on the chat if you can. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Let's continue. So, let us move to our next speaker. So, our next speaker is actually interned in the Médecins Sans Frontières. Laurie is currently working as the geographical systems intern at MSF. As a GIS intern, he works closely with the GIS and missing map coordinator to provide GIS support to MSF projects all over the world. So before working for MSF, he studied geography at Manchester Metropolitan University, where he focused highly on GIS, which include undertaking the dissertation on glacial change in the Andes, which is used to map historical imagery to see changes in areas of certain glaciers. He currently works in London, but is originally from Bristol in the southwest of England. Ladies and gentlemen, Laurie.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And, oh wait. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how open source tools were used to map change detection during the Madagascar cyclone. And so some background to this is that two cyclones hit the east coast of Madagascar between the 5th and the 22nd of November 2022. And this hit the East Coast and it destroyed a number of buildings. It flooded medical and non-medical sites. And it was estimated that 30,000 people were affected by these cyclones. And the problem basically is basically essentially when there's changes to the landscape, it's very hard for teams in the projects to sort of work out where the like flooding is, where the damage is, and like spatial tools and open source tools can be highly useful to projects on the ground. And so I'm just giving a short presentation of the background of how this was done. Then I'll actually show you how these maps were made. And so the solution to this was to use two tools. So the first tool we used was called Map Swipe, and this is an open source tool developed by Highgate, which is a university in Germany. And basically this app it's a mobile freely available app which allows a user to sort of scan an area which is quite large and identify where buildings are. But in recent months and years, they've added a new project type, and this project type is called the change detection project type. And basically the purpose of this is a user will see on their screens an image before the cyclone and after the cyclone, and they will sort of identify if there's been changes to the landscape. So MapSwipe would basically ask a user, is this place flooded? And then these maps were like ultimately made on QGIS, which is an open source GIS platform, app. And for me and the Missing Maps teams, we try and use QGIS as much as possible because it's open source. Anyone can use QGIS, and it's a great software. And so this is sort of the outcome we got. We sort of developed these maps and we sent them to the heads of missions on the ground, and they used these maps to identify where the floods are. And so you can see on the map on the right, we have an image of before the cyclone and then after the cyclone. And you can see at the top before it was very much drier and there wasn't any flooding. I mean, you can see at the bottom more flooding has occurred. And so I'm just going to go ahead and reshare my screen, but share my my QGIS screen. And so yeah, this is it. This is I'm sort of showing you the product I'll end up with at the very beginning. So this is sort of the map you would get. So in red is the area of interest, and then the areas in blue show places which have been mapped. And basically this is all basically the darker the blue, the higher chance it's been flooded. And then we have an image from after the cyclone. And so basically the way it sort of starts is we download this data from MapSwipe, and the data sort of comes in like this. And then you'd have to open the attribute table, use this, and the key feature we are interested in, column, is the number of counts. So on the app, if you clicked on it once, essentially that would mean you'd mark it as it's been flooded. And so 6 people have marked this as a place which has changed and been flooded. And then so to make this better looking in the symbology, you go to properties, and then you go to symbology, and you'd simply change it to graduate, and then you put the value as 1 count, and then you'd want to equal intervals, and you want 1 more class, and this, I'll just increase the screen, is what you would get. So yeah, you can see this is very similar to the layer I showed you before. The only thing I've changed is I've sort of made the fill the outline. And so this would be done. I'd go to properties. I'd then change the color to my chosen color, blue. I'd apply that, and then it sort of look like this. And then I'll change it manually, but for the sake of time, I'll just copy the layer and then add it to there. Oh. Copy all, and then go like this. So that's sort of the layer, and you can sort of see data does show correctness. You can see here areas have changed, and you can see in the image before, users definitely mark this as flooding has occurred. So the value of this app is very important, and it's all freely available, all volunteer based. And so this is sort of the base map you sort of have, it's sort of like the canvas. And to do this, you can add much more analysis to this. So one major thing is you could work out which buildings, which are downloaded from OpenStreetMap, are in a flood detected place and like area, a square. And then you'd simply just do that by going to vector, geoprocessing, clip, and you'd do it. You'd first of all select all of that, and then you go vector, geoprocessing, and then you go clip, and then you can sort of work out the specific areas which are in a flood risk area, or an area which has been flooded, and you could just simply run that, create a temporary file. And yeah, and then if I just copy the symbology again, you would then have a map which shows the buildings in an area of flooding, which has a value to the teams in the projects. You can also work out maybe schools or shops, so all places of interest, and these were downloaded from OpenStreetMap as well. And you can do the same with this layer, and so you can work out the schools which are at risk or have been flooded, and you can also do the same for health facilities. But as you can see here, there's none of them in the flooded places, areas. And another way, I mean, it's very important that teams can know where to go and which roads to avoid. And you can do this by sort of just clipping what we did with buildings to the flood layer. And so you just do the same as before. Then you go to vector, geoprocessing, clip, and then you do all roads, and then you'd run that again. Then from here you have the roads which are at risk, which could have flooding parts, and so teams on the ground can then avoid these certain roads to then plan routes for medical assistance. So there's a lot you can do with this layer, and it's a great device for like medicine sans frontier, as I mean, it's very important that you spatialize things, especially flooding, and for teams on the ground to know where the floods are has high value to the teams on the ground. And I think I was a bit quicker than the last one. Sorry about that. That is my presentation. I'm happy to open the floor for any questions.
Okay, Laurie, thanks for your amazing presentation. Yeah, we have some question on the chat. The first one come from Kat. How long did it take to get the change detection mission completed in map 5?
So for the data to be sort of made on map swipe, it sort of took 1.5 days for users to all scan this, and it was scanned by 6 people, so not that long. So really quick, really precise stuff. So it's very quick. I mean, the most time-consuming thing was getting the satellite data and other things. But yeah, it only took 1.5 days to create the data set. So very quick.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie. We have another question for Auntie B. 2 questions, by the way. Do you use any additional data to assess flooding impact? The first one. And do you have any Office desktop validation parameters apart from site visiting?
No, we didn't use any other data sources for flooding. Sadly, I didn't specifically hear the last question. Sorry.
Okay, the last one. Do you have any Office or desktop validation parameters apart from site visiting?
No, nothing really. I mean, we don't know how well it's been tested, but we're still unsure. It's on development. It's being adapted to changes.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if it's a comment from Mika, but maybe you already mentioned how big was the swiped area.
The swiped area is quite small. It was, I'm not specifically, I'm not, I think it was between, I think it was 100 kilometers squared. So not too big.
Okay. Okay, thanks. And another one from Jana. Is MSF planning to use the change detections for any other projects?
It has been mentioned to sort of do this, but not for floods, but maybe to like monitor droughts, or maybe to sort of see if a lake has decreased in size, like certain lakes or like water sites. And I've mentioned it to the teams I've worked in, and it could be a good tool to use for that, because the key with this tool is you don't really need to be a remote sensing specialist to get this data set. And so you're just asking users to sort of use their eyes and scan if there's been a change on the ground. So they might use this tool to monitor if lakes have decreased in size and by like how much. So yeah, it could be it would be interesting to see where this tool's been used. And I know for HOT they've used it to detect deforestation in Mexico, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. And so they've used the change the detection project type in another function.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Laurie.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have any question from the chat, but maybe so we still have time for your presentation. So if someone want to open his mic and yeah and ask question, feel free, please. Okay. So we will move to
I think
the
Pete's got a question. He's put his hand up.
okay. Okay. Yeah, Pete, feel free. Sorry.
Sorry, this is a question for Mocha. So you said that it was a big change in the UN to move to like OSM and open data. I was interested in, like, I think one of the barriers to like organizational use of OSM for impact is like institutional buy-in and like adoption. I don't know if you were around when this happened in the UN, but like, do you know if this happened kind of like in a kind of slightly creeping way, like OSM was used and some concepts were proved, or whether there was kind of a big advocacy push for the use of OSM internally, or how that came about?
So, well, I wasn't there, but actually I know how the thing started. So basically, it was a push from New York. New York is basic. I mean, the headquarters are basically the, let's say, decision makers in the policies and the tools to use and so on. And I think there is some push from very high level, like as I told you, we have this data strategy from the Secretary General that is highly recommended open data, because in all the fields, not only geospatial but also in IT is nowadays the standard de facto. But there were also some, let's say, some people in the geospatial, let's say, the geospatial professionals in New York that created, let's say, this initiative. It's called the UN OpenGIS, and they made the first steps, let's say, towards open source, and they have like a clear plan to shift to open source, like gradually, because we have also some dependencies, some partnerships. So, I mean, this has to be done over time. But we, as the UNGC, we are really the technical implementation, let's say. We are not the, let's say, policy makers.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. So yeah, before moving to the breakout rooms, yeah, we would like to open our video camera and take a photo group before moving to the breakout room, please. Anali, yeah, when you do.
Yes, yeah. Another
Okay, cool.
ritual from community working group. Let's take a photo. So yeah, please take or turn on your camera. So if you're comfortable and you would like to be added in the group photo. Nice. Great to see your wonderful faces. Everyone coming from all over the world. Someone has a satellite. I like it. Galaxy background. Okay, great. So yeah, we have 3 pages. So hold on to your smile. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, go. And then let me just do one more to the other page. Okay, this is the last one, I think. So smile. Okay, thank you. Wonderful. Back to you, Ives.
Yeah, thanks, Anali. So let me share screen. So basically for the breakout room, we will have 2 rooms. The first room we will have Miguel and Shabani will facilitate. And the second room we will have Lori and Anali will facilitate the breakout room. So feel free to join any breakout room you want. And also there will be a link that will share with you. It will be a Jamboard link, and it will give you also the opportunity to share your experience regarding open the special tools and the fields you have been working on. Yeah, thank you. Anali, I hope the breakout room.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Thank you. Oh, I think I messed up. Lakshmi should go to room 2. Sorry about that. Yeah, so yeah, you can now go to the rooms. So room 1, our guest speaker Mikael Montani would be there, and then room 2 with Lori Bouvier. So yeah, see you. Okay, I need
I
to.
don't see the.
Yeah, not yet. I know. Sorry about that. I'm just making sure that Lori and Mika are there. You go. You should be able to check the room. So yeah, see you there. And then Eves, if you would be here to tech, making sure everything's okay or have joined the room. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem on that. Hey, for those who are still on the main room, actually we are having the breakout room session, so feel free to join any room you are interested in. So we have 2 rooms. The first room we have our first panelist, Ben Montani, and the second room we have Lori from MS. So please free to join any room. Hello once again. We are actually on the breakout room. We have 2 minutes. Please feel free to join the group one or the, our panelists can also able to share your experience regarding the topics we are talking about today. Thank you. Hello, Koku, Samuel. Feel free. We are actually on the breakout room session, so feel free to join any breakout session to participate in the different discussions. So yeah, or I can also affect you to one program. Hector, Big, Sam, feel free to join the breakout room session. We're actually on the breakout room session, please. Hey, Joseph. Please feel free to join. We are actually on the breakout room session, so please feel free to join. Okay. You have to. Thank you. Same with Shimwati, Dutan, or Koku. Hey, we're actually on the breakout room session. Nous sommes dans les salles de discussion aussi. Nous avons des participants d'expression francophone. Donc, n'hésitez pas à une des salles qui vous convient. avec nos différents panélistes. So we actually on the breakout session, so feel free to join homes comfortably. Thank you. Hey Hector, hey Shimwachi, and hey Victor, Vic. We are actually on the breakout session, so please feel free to join one. We have two rooms actually. Uh, our different panelists. One is led by Thermo Tanyal. Second one is led by Zoe. Thank you. Hello, Thiago. Actually, we are on the breakout, so you have to go home to join one. Max, attack.
Ibs, are you there? Yes.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you really enjoyed the breakout room sessions. So, before we close, let's have two comments from the participants. Your feeling, your reaction regarding the presentation, and also the breakout room that you have. So feel free. We can pick two comments. Additionally to that, I will share a link, a feedback link on Lumdo, so you can give us your reaction also there. No reaction? Okay, okay. So no problem. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining sessions. It was really amazing. Thank in particular to Dori and also Mikael for giving us their time to share the experience that they're having in the main organizations. Also, thanks to the volunteer who makes the webinar possible, especially Analytics, Laxmi, and everyone else on the organizing. Thanks. I hope to see you in other future activities that we will organize. Thank you, everyone, and bye. Have a
Thank
nice
you,
weekend.
everyone. Thank you, Ibs, for leading the
No.
session. Bye.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
weekend.